Hi students, have a nice day. In this video, the continuation of 10th standard science part 1, the topic name is nuclear physics. Now we are going to learn about nuclear fission. The definition of nuclear fission is the process of breaking up of a heavier nucleus into two smaller nuclei with the release of large amount of energy and a few neutrons is called nuclear fission. For example, nuclear fission of a uranium nucleus uranium-235. Uranium nucleus is bombarded with a neutron. It breaks up into two smaller nuclei of comparable mass along with the emission of few neutrons and energy. The average energy released in each fission process is about 3.2 into 10 power minus 11 joule. Now we learn about fissionable materials. A fissionable material is a radioactive element which undergoes fission in a sustained manner when it absorbs neutron. It is also termed as fissile material. For example, uranium-235, plutonium-239 and plutonium-241. Our next topic is fertile material. There are some radioactive elements which can be converted into fissionable material. They are called as fertile materials. For example, uranium-238, thorium-232, plutonium-240. Listen, uranium-235 is a fissionable material, but uranium-238 is a non-fissionable material. That means fertile materials. Next we move to chain reaction. A uranium nucleus, when bombarded with a neutron, undergoes fission producing 3 neutrons. These 3 neutrons in turn can cause fission in 3 other uranium nuclei present in the sample, thus producing 9 neutrons. These 9 neutrons in turn may produce 27 neutrons and so on. This is known as chain reaction. Two kinds of chain reaction are possible. They are controlled chain reaction and uncontrolled chain reaction. The first one is controlled chain reaction. In the controlled chain reaction, the number of neutrons released is maintained to be 1. This is achieved by absorbing the extra neutrons with a neutron absorber, leaving only one neutron to produce further fission. Thus, the reaction is sustained in a controlled manner. Next, we move to uncontrolled chain reaction. In the uncontrolled chain reaction, the number of neutrons multiplies independently and causes fission in a large amount of the fissile material. This results in the release of huge amount of energy within a fraction of a second. This kind of chain reaction is used in the atom bomb to produce an explosion. Next, let's learn about critical mass. The minimum mass of a fissile material necessary to sustain the chain reaction is called critical mass. It depends on the nature, density and the size of the fissile material. If the mass of the fissile material is less than the critical mass, it is termed as subcritical. If the mass of the fissile material is more than the critical mass, it is termed as supercritical. The atom bomb is based on the principle of uncontrolled chain reaction. In an uncontrolled chain reaction, the number of neutrons and the number of fission reactions multiply almost in the geometrical progression. This releases a huge amount of energy in a very small time interval and leads to an explosion. The structure of an atom bomb consists of a piece of fissile material whose mass is subcritical. This piece has a cylindrical void. It has a cylindrical fissile material which can fit into this void and its mass is also subcritical. When the bomb has to be exploded, this cylinder is injected into the void using a conventional explosive. Now, the two pieces of a fissile material join to form the supercritical mass which leads to an explosion. During this explosion, tremendous amount of energy in the form of heat, light and radiation is released. A region of very high temperature and pressure is formed in a fraction of a second along with the emission of hazardous radiation like gamma rays which adversely affect living creatures. This type of atom bombs were exploded in 1945 at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan during the Second World War. Next, we are going to learn about nuclear fusion process. The definition of nuclear fusion is the process in which two lighter nuclei combine to form a heavier nucleus is termed as nuclear fusion. For example, 1H2 plus 1H1 gives 2He4 plus energy. Here, 1H2 represents an isotope of hydrogen known as deuterium. The average energy released in each fusion reaction is about 3.84 into 10 power minus 12 joule. Next, we move to conditions necessary for nuclear fusion. The nuclear fusion can take place only under certain conditions. Nuclear fusion is possible only at an extremely high temperature of the order of 10 power 7 to 10 power 9 Kelvin and a high pressure to push the hydrogen nuclei closer to fuse with each other. Hence, it is named as thermonuclear reaction. Next, we move to stellar energy. The fusion reaction that takes place in the cores of Sun and other stars results in an enormous amount of energy, which is called as stellar energy. Thus, nuclear fusion or thermonuclear reaction is the source of light and heat energy in the Sun and other stars. Next, we move to hydrogen bomb. Hydrogen bomb is based on the principle of nuclear fusion. A hydrogen bomb is always designed to have an inbuilt atom bomb which creates the high temperature and pressure required for fusion when it explodes. Then, fusion takes place in the hydrogen core and leads to the release of a very large amount of energy in an uncontrolled manner. The energy released in a hydrogen bomb is much higher than that released in atom bomb. Next, we learn about the differentiate between nuclear fission and fusion process. The process of breaking up of heavy nucleus into two smaller nuclei is called nuclear fission. And next one, nuclear fusion is the combination of two lighter nuclei to form a heavier nucleus. Nuclear fission can be performed at room temperature, and nuclear fusion extremely high temperature and pressure is needed. And third one, alpha, beta and gamma radiation are emitted in nuclear fission process, and alpha rays, positron and neutrinos are emitted in nuclear fusion process. Fission leads to emission of gamma radiation. This triggers the mutation in the human gene and causes genetic transform disease. Nuclear fusion is only light and heat energy is emitted. Next, we move to uses of radioactivity. Many radioisotopes can be obtained from radioactivity. These radioisotopes have found wide variety of applications in the fields of medicine, agriculture, industry and archaeological research. Next, we move to application in agriculture. The radioisotope of phosphorus P32 helps to increase the productivity of crops. The radiation from the radioisotopes can be used to kill the insects and parasites and prevent the wastage of agriculture products. Next, we move to application in medicine field. Medical applications of radioisotopes can be divided into two parts. First one, diagnosis. Second one, therapy. So, radioisotopes are used as tracer to diagnose the nature of circulatory disorder of blood, defect of bone metabolism, to locate tumors, etc. Some of the radioisotopes which are used as tracers are hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, etc. For example, radiosodium is used for the effective functioning of heart, and another one example, radioiodine is used to cure goiter, and another one example, radiophosphorus is used in the treatment of skin disease. Next, we move to application in industries. In industries, radioactive isotopes are used as tracers to detect any manufacturing defects such as cracks and leaks. For example, an isotope of californium is used in the airlines to detect the explosive in the luggage. And second one, an isotope of americium is used in many industries as a smoke detector. Another one, archaeological research. Using the technique of radiocarbon dating, the age of the earth, fossils, old painting and monuments can be determined. Next we learn about nuclear reactor. A nuclear reactor is a device in which the nuclear fission reaction takes place in self-sustained and controlled manner to produce electricity. The first nuclear reactor was built in 1942 at Chicago in USA. Next one, components of a nuclear reactors. The essential components of a nuclear reactor are fuel, moderator, control rod, coolant and production valve. So first one, fuel. A fissile material is used as the fuel. The commonly used fuel material is uranium. And second one, moderator. A moderator is used to slow down the high energy neutrons to provide slow neutrons. For example, graphite and heavy water are the commonly used moderators. Next one, control rod. Control rods are used to control the number of neutrons in order to have sustained chain reaction. For example, boron and cadmium rods are used as control rods. Next one, coolant. A coolant is used to remove the heat produced in the reactor core to produce steam. This steam is used to run a turbine in order to produce electricity. For example, water, air and helium are some of the coolants. Next one, protection wall. A thick concrete lead wall is built around the nuclear reactor in order to prevent the harmful radiation from escaping into the environment. Next one, uses of a nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactors are widely used in power generation. They are also used to produce radioisotopes, which are used in a variety of applications. Breeder reactors are used to convert non-fissionable material into fissionable materials. Next we move to nuclear power plants in India. Indian Atomic Energy Commission (AEC) was established in August 1948 by the Department of Indian Scientific Research Committee at Bombay in Maharashtra. Now it is known as Bhabha Atomic Research Center, that means BARC Park. Nuclear power is the fifth largest source of power in India. Tarapur Atomic Power Station is India's first nuclear power station. Now there are total of 7 power stations, one each in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh and 2 in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, we have nuclear power station in Kalpakkam and Kudangulam. Apsara was the first nuclear reactor built in India and Asia. Now, there are 22 nuclear reactors which are operating in India.